How exact does an exact drum cover have to be in order to be called an exact drum cover? Hello, YouTube viewers. Welcome to my channel, CCM Drummer. My name is Matthew Jackson, and that's what I want to talk to you today is how exact an exact drum cover has to be. Now, this is part of an ongoing debate. We in the drummers community have the cover drummers, that is how you go about covering a song. Now, the vast majority of drum covers, or cover drummers, I should say, they will basically play to a drumless track and then do a stylized interpretation of that song when they do the drum part. They won't play it exactly the way the original drummer on the recording had covered it. Now, that would be the majority of cover drummers. That's the way they do it. The camp I fall in would be the exact. I like to duplicate exactly what the original drummer is recording, lick for lick and stroke for stroke. So yeah, I would hold the minority view in that regard. Now, there are a few arguments I'd like to get off the table before I get into the body of my talk here. One argument that a lot of stylized drummers use to debate against the exact approach is they'll say, well, yeah, but when you play in a cover band, you can't always play exact because of what the other instrumentalists in the band might play. Well, first of all, let me just stop you right there and get this issue off the table. When I talk about exact drum covers, I'm not talking about cover bands. When you play with other live musicians, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you do a drum cover video where you're playing with you and the recording of the song that you're covering. The commercially produced and sold recorded song. That's what I'm talking about. So if you're in a cover band, I'm not talking about you, okay? So we're talking video recordings to commercially produce songs. Now, another argument that you hear a lot is, well, that when an original band produces an album and records a song, that recording is a snapshot of that version of that song at that point in time. Exactly. And that snapshot is what gets played on the air on the radio. That snapshot is what gets sold in the record stores, or now it would be Spotify and iTunes and all that, but a long time ago it was the record stores. What I'm trying to say is that snapshot is the version that many people hear either on the radio or on their CD players or iTunes, and they identify with those particular nuances. So, when that same band that recorded that same song goes out on tour and does a concert, at least this concert goer is concerned, I expect the drummer to play it as he played it in the recording studio. Sometimes that happens, like when I saw Deep Purple in 1975, Ian Pace played Smoke on the Water, played his drum part, Smoke on the Water, the way he recorded it. When I saw the Stevie Miller Band in 1998, the drummer played the drum part to Take the Money and Run, the same way the original drummer played it at the time of the recording. So there are occasions when drummers, when they're out on tour, on concert tours, will duplicate what was recorded, whether they were the drummer, the original drummer on the recording, or someone else, they'll duplicate. Others don't. It varies depending on the band leader. Some band leaders insist that you do it the way that was done on the recording. Others don't care, as long as you get the general vibe and stuff like that. So there's all sorts of variables. But I saw a video of Rush playing their song Tom Sawyer, and I saw Neil Peart play his version, play the drum part in the live concert is the way he did it on the album. So it can be done. It just depends on the drummer and all these other variables. Now, the other argument that I hear a lot about, well, not a lot, people will argue, well, there's really no such thing as an exact drum cover, because the original drummer may, when he does a fill, he may use double strokes and paradiddles, where another drummer that tries to come after him may use single strokes, or vice versa. Or the drummer on the recording may hit the tom or the drums or the cymbal harder than the cover drummer, or softer, vice versa, whatever. And those particular nuances are not what I'm talking about when I'm talking about doing an exact drum cover. Now let me give you an example. This is the score to the song Jump by Van Halen, okay? So if you were to play the drum part to this score, if you were to follow this score, you would be doing an exact drum cover, and you'd be playing it the way Alex played it. Alex Van Halen, Eddie's brother, the drummer. Now, one thing about this score is the person who scored this song noticed that Alex was playing a total of 4 toms, okay? Now, in the first opening fill, the opening fill that goes into the chorus or into the verse or whatever, because you have the prelude where it's just keyboards, then you have that crash sequence, bum, 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 and then you have the first fill ending on a crash here. Now, this fill makes a provision for 3 toms, okay? 3 of the 4 toms that Alex had on his drum set. Now, take a guy like me. If I were to cover this song, well, my drum set only has 2 toms, 1 up, 1 down. That's it, okay? Now, if I were to cover this song, do you think I'm going to go out and buy 2 extra toms so I can have 4 toms like Alex Van Halen had when he did this song? No. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to condense. I'll do the same rhythm pattern that Alex did, but I'll just do it on 2 toms instead of 3. And I'll just have to figure out, okay, well, on this tom, when I get to this one, I'll just do it on this tom as opposed to that one, or whatever. I'll just figure something out. Do the same pattern, and just do it with 2 toms. And if I did that, I would still be playing exact. So you don't have to have the exact number of toms. Also, when he ends the fill on a crash on 1 of the next bar, I don't know what kind of cymbal Alex Van Halen had. I don't know if it was a Paiste or Sabian or Zimbal or Zildjian, I should say, Zildjian. I don't know if it was a 16, 15, 17, so I could have a different brand of cymbal, different size of cymbal. He could hit it harder, I could hit it softer, or vice versa. But if you get the crash in, you get the rhythm pattern in, regardless of how many toms you have, you'll be playing exact. So don't get so bogged down on all the micro aspects, because we could go back and forth all day long on all the micro details, because the drums are tuned different, they're mic'd different kind of drums. He could be playing with a nylon tip, you could be playing with a wood tip. He could have Evans drum heads, you could have Remos. I mean, you could split hairs all day long, but if you get the basic rhythm pattern, the crashes, the basic stuff, that's exact enough to be exact when you play exact drum covers, at least according to me. So, let me check here. Now, another argument that I hear against doing exact drum covers, drummers would say, well, yeah, but I like to put my own personality into it. And I can't do that if I play exactly as the original drummer played. Well, I beg to differ a little bit. There is still room for your personality. I got a perfect example of that. I did a drum cover to Just You and Me by Chicago. Danny Seraphin was the original drummer. I played the exact rhythm patterns that Danny played. However, I played them a little differently because I put my own vibe into the song. And you know, Danny is a completely different drummer, even though I idolized the guy when I was a kid. Danny is a cross-handed drummer who plays with a traditional grip. I am a match player who plays open-handed. I ride my hi-hat with my left hand. So obviously there were some sticking patterns that I play as an open-handed drummer that was different than Danny's version as a cross-hander playing traditional grip. But yet I played the same notes on the same drums. Of course, I only had 2 toms. I think he had 3 on his. But you know what I'm saying. But yet I put my own personality, so you could still put your own personality and your own vibe, and it still complements the song that you're playing. So it can be done. You can put your own personal interpretation. Beethoven's Fifth was debuted on December 22nd in 1808 in Vienna, Austria. Beethoven himself was the conductor at the time, okay? Now, let me ask you a question. Let's say you go see a symphony concert today and they played Beethoven's Fifth. Do you think the symphony that you would see in your hometown would play Beethoven's Fifth the same way Beethoven played it, his symphony, and the way he conducted it in 1808 in Vienna on December 22nd? Do you think those 2 symphonies are going to play it exactly the same? No. Close. They'll both go da-da-da-da, you know, play the main stuff, but you don't know how many pieces Beethoven had in his orchestra, you know, versus how many pieces you've got in the modern day orchestra, okay? So you could have a real badass bassoon player in one orchestra and not have it in the other one. Well, that would make a difference. You could have more French horns or cellos in one symphony orchestra, and the other orchestra may not have as many cellos and French horns, but they might have more violins and violas. So the instrumentation might vary from symphony to symphony, and also the conductors conducting and directing the symphony, they may interpret the score differently. They may be driving, one conductor may be pushing the French horns and cello players a little harder, where one on another symphony may be pushing the violas and violin players a little harder. So there's still variance, and you talk to these symphony buffs that go watch these symphonies. You say, yeah, I went to the symphony last night and watched them play Beethoven's Fifth. They say, oh, was it pretty good? Yeah, it was all right, but I heard another symphony in another town, their symphony played it better, you know. So there's always variance. You can always, even though they all have the same score that Beethoven used in 1808 in Vienna or Austria. So anyway, let me close with this one thought before I end this video. Playing exact pretty much means that you have to play from a working score, like this, okay? If you don't have unless you're a genius and have a photographic memory and you can just remember everything, all right, there's no way you can play exact and capture all those nuances. You have to work from a score. Well, working from a score means you have to know how to read. Okay, I know that not all drummers are good at reading. Some are better than others. So yeah, that would be an issue. Now, if you're wanting to cover popular songs, you can actually get the score online. There are websites that you can go to. There's a Facebook group page where you can go. I forgot the name of the Facebook group page, but I think it's Drum Scores or something like that. But that's all they do. That's all they talk about. Is they'll say one guy will write a post on the Facebook group page and say, "Hey, I got a score to this song. Anybody want it?" Or somebody may say, "I'm looking for the score of this particular song by Blink 182. Do you have the score?" And that's all they do. Is they talk about exchanging scores, sending each other PDFs, or saying, "No, but you go to this website, they got it." You know. Now, my genre, CCM music, which means contemporary Christian music, all the songs that I've covered, I've actually had to score myself. which is a drag. It's a drag to actually have to score the song, and it's a drag to actually have to learn the song to the score, at least for most drummers. Personally, I like it. It's a challenge, but I can understand how most drummers would see this as very boring, tedious, and laborious. And they would just rather do their own stylized cover as opposed to going through the hassle of learning all the intricacies of what a previous drummer did. And I respect that. And I'm not going to say anything derogatory or disparaging about that. That's fine. If that's what you want to do, that's your deal. But my deal is I like to play exact. Yeah, I produce fewer drum covers, for sure. I could certainly produce more if I didn't stick to the script, but that's just my conviction. But anyway, the main takeaway that I wanted to emphasize in this video today is you don't have to play it exact in a micro-technical way. Just get the basic rhythm patterns, okay? If you get the basic rhythm patterns in all the nuances, you've done it. How hard or soft you do it, that's your interpretation, okay? So, thank you for watching. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, click that notification bell when you subscribe, and also share this video. Thank you for watching, and God bless.